Well, welcome and hello and welcome. Let me give you a big howdy ho, neighbor. It's your old fuddy duddy buddy, the chunky stock monkey, here in the flesh, live and direct on the YouTube. It's Danny Deals, it's Un Poco Moss, it's Hurricane Lopez, it's Stock Karen. And my text is giving me some fail messages, so I was unable to notify the great J Money Not a Lurker. But perhaps my text will go through when my phone decides to stop cutting a big fart. What's going on, Kramer90? Actually, it was Kramer90 who requested this Nio video, and there he is, a man of his word. So the stock down a little bit. I can't go too long. I've just been feeling really sick and just don't have any energy, and I have some work to do. So I'm just going to give a quick update, my thoughts. I actually just purchased more Nio today, kind of unwittingly at $5.49. I had a little buy order there. Not a huge amount of shares. I think I picked up 1,000 shares or 1,100 shares or something like that. I had a couple of different buy orders, a couple of different accounts, but I'm averaging. I think I'm averaging up at this point. So I bought the lows so aggressively, but I'm somewhere around even. I'm really killing it on my options. I got out of some of them a little bit higher than these levels. Not up at 7 or anything, but up in the 6s. Anyway, long story short, guys. 557, very critical level. You'll notice it was struggling to break through that level here. And then as you go back basically to June and May, 3 tests kind of broke through and then failed. And essentially what happens is the stock is, riding this line as support from January all the way through March, end of March. End of March, it falls back down through the line. And then ever since then, it's tried to break through. Now we get this, it struggles to break through from, around September 6th all the way to September 24, pops up through the line, makes this huge run, and then just sells back off right back to the line. So you can see from the chart, it's really going to be key if it can hold where it is today or if it takes another big step down. I mean, the next big step down is probably going to be, this sort of 477 area, and nobody wants to see that area. That area is, taint adjacent. It smells bad. You don't want to get down there. You don't want to get down there, guys. You don't want to go there. Don't go there. Anyway, hello and welcome and hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. Thank you for joining me. We have a live studio audience with us. Oh, thank you. It's good to see everybody. Anyway, what WTF am I doing? Again, guys, haven't slept that very much in about the last 3 to 4, maybe 5 days. Not really sure. They're all kind of running together, but yeah, picked up more Nio. There's so many good things going on with the company. Deliveries were very strong. The weeklies at 4,700. They're actually more than show me the money, if you know what I mean. Exceeding Xpeng and quite a few of the other players right up near the top of the list. My understanding is the Onvo deliveries are not in that total, and Onvo delivered around another 900. I'm not sure if that's true. I have to really check my math on that. But let's see. So the open interest, Max Payne 6. So that's why I think the stock might work back up off of that support area 550, 557. The volume is kind of coming in obviously at 6. Quite a few calls, still 550. Puts are basically all at 550. So you would expect it to land somewhere between 5 and 6 on the week. And Max Payne is indicative of that. This is all, a lot of dead money, but you do see a lot of money, dead money at 7. A lot of, call sellers happy about that one. But everybody, I think a lot of people thought there was just going to be more continuation. The narrative was, hey, China did one round of stimulus kind of targeted at more local governments trying to restart the property sector. And then, their economic minister came out over the weekend and everybody was expecting them to announce some big specific plan to stimulate the economy, some massive stimulus, but he only gave sort of vague hyperbolic puffery. And a lot of people are speculating that that's because the People's Congress meets later this month in just a couple of weeks. So they want to have a vote on what to do in terms of the stimulus measures rather than just having it done administratively, that sort of thing. So it's politics, it's internal politics, it's optics, but all of this has been totally bent out of shape, as if this new, the fact that they didn't announce the specifics of the, plan. They came out and said there's going to be all this money available over a couple of years. They kind of gave kind of a thumbnail sketch that said we are going to prop up the economy. This is clearly going to be very good for Nio. And I don't know if it's not completely obvious to everybody by now. The Chinese government is pushing Nio. CATL has admitted, battery swap is there. They're saying we're going to build 10,000 battery swaps by, 2030. But does China want multiple competing networks that all have to talk to the power grid, that all have to do things, different ways? Or do they want that battery swap consortium led by Nio, and they're going to have other people come in line behind that? Now, I know you can't stop somebody as big as CATL, but Nio has quite a bit of a head start. Remember, CATL just has a few swaps right now. And then they have that Changan news with they're coming out. They just filed for a battery swap enabled sedan. And people are speculating that it's not even going to use, the Nio battery swap alliance at this fucking seaport, whatever. There's this battery swap that they've got just a few swaps. I mean, you see it here, guys. Zeekr 5500, Nio 4700, Xpeng 39, Li Auto, of course, leading the way with their Li bullshit hybrid nonsense. Not even an electric car, let's face it. And, they have one model. They stack them high. They sell them cheap. I think they have a couple of models now. But Nio is just on a completely different level. Think about how these guys release stuff. You have, contrast it with Tesla, that robo-taxi thing. They're like, who holds a launch party, for an album that's going to drop in 3 years, maybe? Hey, when's your album coming out? There's a great launch party. It drops in 3 years, maybe. Probably more like 8 or 10. Sweet. Oh, I'll get down to Sam Goody. Pick me up something on vinyl. Maybe an 8-track. Anyway, they announced, see, that's the thing, Kramer. It's like these stocks, this EV sector, this China, the mechanics have a hold of it. It moves in lockstep a lot of times. Xpeng, Li, Nio is a completely different company. Nio is going to be huge. How do you think they arranged for the CEO of Nio to have a meeting and sit down and have them test the cars with the presidents of Egypt and UAE? The presidents of the country, not presidents of some company. The Chinese government, the foreign ministry, the highest levels of the Chinese government have to arrange that, have to allow that, have to okay that. You think you can go freelance meetings with world leaders in China, not get the okay from the government? They want to push this Nio standard. I mean, I have not been able to confirm 100% that Firefly is going to use the same swap stations. My thinking is it's going to use the same bolts. It's going to use the same basic configuration, but it could be a lot lighter. It could be a different chemistry, a lot lower capacity, different materials, even in terms of the shell, but still use the same basic architecture. It doesn't have to mean that Nio and Onvo and Firefly are actually going to share batteries. You could have a Gen 5 swap station that has, depending on the demand in that area, it could have a different number of different batteries for different cars. It could have the 60 kilowatt pack for Nio, could have 10 of those. And then maybe it could have 6 Firefly batteries. Well, there's not very many of those. And then maybe, 20 or 30 different capacity battery packs for Nio. So it'll have a mix, and they'll have an algorithm telling it how to allocate that capacity for maximum efficiency and maximum customer satisfaction. You weak sauce turds. What aren't you guys getting? Battery swap's a better solution. Why is EV a better solution? And then why is battery swap kind of the missing ingredient that makes EV actually work? It kind of takes all of the bad parts of EV and it alleviates them. It wipes them away. It's like they were never there. So, I mean, essentially, it's just gas doesn't make much sense as a fuel as compared to electricity. The only way it makes more sense is that it has been easier to store, because battery storage of electricity has been very expensive. Batteries have been very expensive. And there's really no other ways to store that electricity for later. That's why you're always running power generation. You're basically you're tuning the generation to the demand. You're just starting to store energy in response to demand. Store energy when it's cheap, have it there for when it's expensive, let it go, store it in batteries. It just hasn't been practical. Electricity, think about it. Electricity is infinitely easier to transport than gas. Gas, you have to put in another truck that runs on gas or runs on whatever, put on trains, or put in a pipeline, or build a physical pipeline under the ground that can spill. Electricity, you already have the infrastructure in place. You already have the wires. You already have the capacity. And you can add as needed. And once there, it's extremely efficient. There's really no impact on like roads and all these other things, rails, environmental degradation, pollution that comes with gasoline. It's all, the whole world is going to go to EV. Once we all agree on that, then we could see, why does battery swap make so much sense? Gasoline is hard to transport. It's relatively easy to store, but it takes a lot of room. I mean, electricity is transported almost instantly. The problem has been, where do you store it? All you see, those big tanks at the gas station, that's to store the fuel. You haven't had an efficient, practical way to store the electricity. Battery swap, these intelligent battery swap stations solve for that problem. It makes so much sense. It helps the power grid. It stores electricity. It charges. It discharges. It runs different brands of cars. It runs different lines of cars. It runs different segments of cars, different capacities, different chemistries, different costs, different demand. It's a flexible, intelligent solution. Fixed batteries only create problems. Batteries die before their time. They're underutilized. They're inefficient. They're not charged properly. They're not cared for properly. You can't analyze the health of the batteries. There is just no benefit there. Hello and welcome, guys. Welcome and hello and welcome. By the way, it's Un Poco Mas, a show where we give you just a little bit more. But yeah, we're talking Nio. I mean, why and how do they keep hitting this thing? I mean, why short this thing? Deliveries are starting to explode. I mean, it's 20,000 every month. Onvo's just starting to contribute. That's going to be thousands more per month. I don't know how many thousand, but it seems like it's accelerating, faster than people thought. The demand is there. This is a really good car. I mean, everybody reviewing it is saying, wow, for the price, this is an incredible car. And I know there's a lot of competition in China. I know there's a lot of really good cars that are made for not that much money. And, that's the Japanese, the Germans, the Americans, the rest of the nameplates are in big trouble. I was going to say the Swedish or whatever, but, those are already Chinese. Hello and welcome. Welcome and hello and welcome. 3, 2, 1, let's Poco. Thank you for joining us, Not a Lurker. Sorry, my phone was not letting me get a text out to you to notify you of the broadcast, but looks like you found your way here anyway, and we thank you very much. Welcome and hello and welcome. Jay Gadsby, thank you for joining us again for yet another show. Yes, a double dose of Danny Deals will cure what ails you. Better than an apple a day. Less sugar. A little bit more sour. A little bit more of that old, sour old man vibe, shaking a stick at a kid skateboarding innocently on the sidewalk. You kids, you skateboards. Yeah. Heading down to school. What's your problem? You kids. Anyway, hello and welcome. Number one, you hate me for that. I could never hate you, Maria Powell. That's okay. I don't blame you. Yeah. Kramer is getting raped. That's not good. Call the authorities. Maria. She fell in love with Spanish Harlem or something. Oleg Zalenzandrov subbed and that's no good, Oleg. That's going to be a big problem for your social life. Nobody likes a Danny Deals viewer. Nobody likes a Poco Moss viewer. Hello, Vladi Z. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to you and everyone. Happy hump day, guys. What's up, Deep Night Labs? Yes, not a lurker. Twofer. It's a Danny twofer. It's a BOGO. You bought one, you get one. Two for the price of one. Two Dannies for the price of one. Like you needed a second one. Like some of these things they give you a BOGO on, it's like you clearly don't even want the second one. Like, no, come on, we're not selling this shit. Like, yeah, I know. I get it. I don't know. Not very many. I think no more than 6 cups of coffee since 4 a.m. I don't really know. Not a lurker. I haven't exactly been keeping track. But yeah, probably 2 since the hour that normal people should be up. But anyway, guys, so yeah, Nio just getting stepped on. You see it today. Net borrowing is 6 million. This time yesterday it was 14 million. And then, of course, as soon as the market closes, they return a ton of shares to each other. It's the old Mexican standoff, circle jerk, the old power bottom play. And then, of course, they borrow more back overnight. So still net borrowing yesterday was 4 million shares. Net borrowing so far today, another 6 million shares. So 10 million shares. And then if you look at the actual short interest, you're talking about 13% of the free float. Only shorting, they're saying 172 million shares. Well, why then are they borrowing 383 million shares? I mean, something wacky is going on where they're suppressing the price of the stock. Cost to borrow max has spiked a couple of times. Cost to borrow average today, 3.46. It was higher yesterday. Obviously, they were borrowing more shares yesterday, but the availability has only dipped down 7.7, 8.9, then right back up to 10 million. So there's a ton of shares with this stock, like 2 billion shares, but still the market cap is quite low for what it is. I mean, if you start to look at what's actually happening on the ground, these Chinese cars are going to get sold all over the world. They're already being sold in Europe, despite the tariffs. They're moving into the Middle East aggressively, other parts of Asia. Companies like BYD moving into South America. These companies are going to be in the United States. And the other companies around the world need to either get moving or you're going to be extinct. And tariffs and trade restrictions just aren't going to be effective, in the world we live in today. Maybe in some made-up world of yesteryear where, you could just sit here and have these little cottage industries like you're, Dutch making wooden shoes or something, and you just protect your wooden shoe industry with everything you have. But this isn't a little boutique industry, guys. This is automotive. This is huge. And if the Chinese are making, a far better, more compelling product for less money, it's going to get adopted. And you see the Chinese state, it's not just with this, Egypt, Abu Dhabi thing. It's the fact that they're all the big state-owned oil companies are partnering with Nio. What does that do? It completely changes the cost structure because they can expand the battery swap network without really paying for real estate, using other people's money. And that's what I see with this MENA Abu Dhabi or UAE deal. I think it's Abu Dhabi or CVNA, the investment authority. One of these Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds. That's basically a source of cash that's going to be not nearly as dilutive as just printing shares. And when they bought in last time, the 20% stake, they gave us a pretty good deal. Gave us a pretty good valuation considering where the market was then, the fact that money was expensive and it was just kind of hard to do money raises at that point. Everybody needed to raise money. But it's like the proof of concept phase is over. People love battery swap. Nio users are battery swapping. I did the math more than once a week per every single car that Nio has ever produced in the history of the company. And with Onvo, the production is just going to accelerate. Onvo, Firefly, chips. They're absolutely preparing this company to be a massive worldwide force and to own the battery swap standard. That's why I'm very curious to see what the Chinese government does vis-a-vis these competing battery swap networks. Because if you take a look at like the this story, I guess it's down here a little bit at this point. So Changan is a member of the Battery Swap Alliance, and people are saying that it could come from the Nio Battery Swap Alliance, but that seems unlikely. So they filed. That's the last step before they can actually sell it. It's public comment, etc. So it's just kind of a formality. It's going to go on sale. So it's spec'd out as like a basic budget sedan. The speed, single motor. It's just a typical budget sedan, this says, and it's targeting the low to mid-range market, starting at only $7,000 or RMB 4990. Or I don't know. That can't be right. I don't know. I don't know what the price is. I think there might be a mistake there. But so its support for battery swap network has sparked speculation on Chinese social media. It could be collaboration between Nio and Changan, but Changan and Nio entered a partnership in November 2023, becoming the first. However, it is also worth noting that it is powered by a lithium iron phosphate battery with cells from CATL and SAIC's joint venture United Auto Battery Company Limited. So Nio's CATL battery pack gets its cells directly from the latter, not from CATL's joint ventures with other. But that makes total sense. They could still be using a battery. It's CATL making the things, the other people, slapping their name on them. So Changan hasn't had any battery swap enabled models before, though SAIC's Rising Auto has launched battery swap enabled models and set up a handful of battery swap. The thing is, people they get the battery swap thing and they realize how hard it is, and they put up a couple dozen of them, and then it just kind of peters out. I mean, now there's no doubt that a company like CATL can actually build the swap network, and they already have the technology and they're already doing it. But does the Chinese government want them to aggressively expand a competing network? And if so, I would guess that will be the only competing network. They probably don't want one company to dominate it, but they definitely don't want 5 different, battery swap standards. It's just very inefficient. They're not all going to play nice together. If you have 1 or 2 standards that can go through the power grid, it's just far more efficient. The more cars that can use that particular standard, that can use that swap station, the more utilized it's going to be up to its capacity. And that's what you want. You want things used to capacity so that it's more efficient. Not only the batteries are more efficient, their use, but the swap station itself. You don't want 4 swap stations that are only being used, 10% of the time. You want one swap station that's in use, 40, 60% of the time. It's just more efficient all around. It's better for their society. It's better for the environment. You don't want to build a bunch of stuff that's not utilized. That's why, you don't want these competing standards between like Laserdisc and VH and all this stuff. And it's going to be shit canned later. It's going to be mothballed, but you spend a hell of a lot of money and resources figuring that out. And it seems like to me, the Chinese government's the type of organization that would rather sort of plan that and decide that for everybody. And to me, it's very clear that the Chinese government, if we're talking about, the golden bachelor of EVs, the Chinese government is giving a rose to Nio. Nio, William Li, will you accept this rose? He's like, Xi Jinping, yes, I will accept this rose, and we will build a buttload of Nios, millions of Nios, and millions of swaps, and sell them all around the world, and make our shareholders of the ADR stock over, those chunky monkeys over in America. We're going to make them some money. And it's like, fuck those guys. And it's like, yeah, fuck those guys. Oh, they bought this Chinese crap to get what they get. No, I think this is a great stock. I think it's a great company. I think it's going to be worldwide. I think they're already too far ahead in battery swap to not be a player. That's not to say CATL can't catch up and compete. But by the time they have, the 2,500 swaps they're going to want, and, I think it was by 2027, Nio could easily have 4,000, 5,000 swaps, and they're going to have swaps in a bunch of different European countries. They're going to have swaps in, hopefully all over the Middle East. I mean, we want this footprint to expand rapidly, but expand in a way that makes sense. We don't want to just build a bunch of zombie swaps all over the place, just to make it look good. We want swaps they're going to use, because the more they're used, that's when the swap stations become profitable. And of course, that's why we're here. It's not just to say, oh, we know better than you. Oh, no, we're right. You're wrong. No, we want these companies to actually make money and return it to shareholders. That's the idea. I think we all forgot that. It's not about, U-turders and internet posts and tweets. It's about bringing money to the bottom line. It's about, margins. It's about volume and margins. That's all it's about. volume and margins. And Nio is going to be there. They are going to be there. They are going to be a player. As all this consolidation happens and so many of these companies merge and go out of business, Nio will be there because they're not too big to fail. They're too important to fail. They're going to be contributing to the power grid. They're going to be contributing to the environmental health of the country. They're going to be saving people massive amounts of time, massive amounts of congestion. Think about it. You have to, even in the best of circumstances, even if you could rapidly charge your car in 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, the power grid is not going to have the capacity to do that all at once. That's the issue. It's not the charging speed. It's that not everyone can fast charge at once in, condensed, consolidated urban areas. Battery swap is going to have a role to play, and Nio is miles ahead in battery swap. It's my opinion. What's going on? Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome and hello. So yeah, just hugging this pretty much algo held here at like 555, 557 for the last 3 hours. So the mechanics are all over the stock. The volume is low. It's making it easier for them to hold. Very few orders coming in. Don't see any real variance, and it's just, they've just sucked the life out of the stock today somehow. And I think, they're trying to kill, obviously, options, shorting, maybe some covering going on. It's really hard to say, but it's clear the mechanics are holding this thing down. They're not, it just doesn't feel like some organic sell-off where retail investors lost their nerve. Let's face it, retail investors own most of this company. Along with CVYN, so CYVN, I think I reversed those. But the point is, institutions can play a lot of games with this and push it down. I mean, shorts might want it down to cover, shorts might want it down to short, and institutions that want to go long will also want it down to accumulate low. So right now, none of the big money seems to want to push this thing up. And max pain at 6, the puts down at 550. It certainly doesn't look like they're going to push it up too high. But in my opinion, this is an incredible buying opportunity because, broke through 550. If it can hold 550, you have to expect it to go up quite dramatically from here. I mean, this stock was in the mid 60s. I mean, that was idiotic, but I think being in the threes is idiotic too for this stock. I mean, the execution is really, really improving. They had a few hiccups there manufacturing, but they own their own manufacturing now. They brought in a lot of key people. The Onvo store directors or ex-Tesla store directors. It's, they're making a lot of the right decisions. They're taking the right things from others. They're inventing the right things themselves. They're trying to do the best of everything, and I think they're doing a remarkable job. Now, huge questions remain. When does this company get profitable? How good are their margins going to be? Their margins have been, going back up, the vehicle margins. But there's more questions than answers at this point. But the fact is they deliver on time. I mean, it's very, very impressive what they're doing with Onvo, rolling that out. And Firefly's already ready. It's just they want to roll it out on a certain schedule that makes sense in terms of their roadmap, in terms of their product roadmap. But these guys know what they're doing. They know how to build things. They're making an incredible product at a great price. The ET9, they just filed to, so they're going to be bringing that to market, I believe, in Q1 2025. That's going to be world-leading technology. That's one of the cars they showed off to the presidents of Egypt and UAE, or was it Abu? I think it was UAE or Abu Dhabi. Anyway, guys, so that's the Nio Stock. Ticker symbol is NIO. Low volume today, 37 million shares traded. Trying to hold on to this line. Watch for this, guys. If it can hold here and stay above, it should move back up. If it breaks back down, probably looking at a fall back to, I don't know. Hate to say it, but probably 445, something in there. I don't know. Very hard to say. Like, it shouldn't be down. It's just when you see a stock that, the fundamentals are really lining up to be positive and you see just this massive borrowing and shorting, for me, it spells opportunity. For others, it spells fear. It's just there's so many reasons to fear a stock like Nio. It's not making money. It's over in China. It's hard to understand, the ADR structure. There's so many reasons, but then the flip side of that coin is there's just this giant, compelling, intangible thing drawing me to this stock that says, battery swap is the game changer. Battery swap is that missing piece that makes EVs make sense for people. It alleviates range anxiety. It makes them less costly, makes the batteries last longer. It just takes away all the bad parts of, EVs, all the anxiety, all the problems, the resale. You don't want to buy a $20,000 battery for a car shell that's worth $2,000. You just don't. Like, people are, I've yet to hear the compelling reasons why battery swap doesn't make sense, and why a company like CATL is going to invest, so much money into it, and why the Chinese government's pushing everybody into it, and why all the big oil companies want to partner, and why all these other companies want to partner with Nio, or why the government's forcing them to partner with Nio. Because for them, it makes sense. For society, it makes sense. For efficiency, it makes sense. For the power grid operator, it makes sense. Fixed batteries help nobody. You just wait for 10 years. They're barely used. You shit can them or you recycle them. With battery swap, they're being constantly used efficiently. And they're doing a lot more than just powering a car. They can power, help stabilize the power grid, etc. It's already being done, I think, in Sweden. I think they have a deal to do battery health deal in UK. These deals are just going to keep coming, and Nio's going to be a monster. Right now, they're pushing it down. Heavy borrowing. Just, they got a hold of this thing, and they're not letting go easily. So, yeah, like I said, 6 million more borrowed today, 4 million borrowed yesterday. It's just every single day they just short the living hell out of the stock. That's all this drop has been. And it wasn't the lack of stimulus. I mean, that's what hit Chinese stocks, but Nio got hit particularly hard given, the fact that they're just doing so many good things. But we have to see, does it continue? Does it lead to profitability? Does it lead to their margins, vehicle margins continuing to improve back to where they need to be, guys? Time will tell. I think the volume that you're going to see, the ramp with both Onvo and Firefly going into next year, is certainly going to improve those margins. And then once we get into like 2026, I think the company should definitely be profitable, but we'll just have to see. Honda, Toyota, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt other companies are trying to hit it. You ever see the day? I mean, yeah, the day will come, Chad. I just don't know when that's going to be. Tesla's very strong in the US market, and I don't think Nio's ever going to kick Tesla. I don't want to put down Tesla fixed battery cars. Tesla's an incredible company. Trailblazer. I'm a big Tesla investor. The value proposition of a Model 3 and Model Y is very, very impressive. The engineering is incredible, and they have so many other things going on. It's like supercomputing, AI, dojo, robotics. I mean, the fact that Tesla doesn't have battery swap in their cars, to me, Elon Musk, the car is a vehicle to get where he wants to be. He's not, ultimately, his passion is not to make a bunch of boring cars. His passion is to, sort of move way beyond that into other scientific advancement and, engineering, manufacturing, etc. But of course, they are a car company. But I still think Nio will get here someday. They already have people procuring real estate, but I don't think, I don't think Tesla is too worried about Nio in the United States. I think they're somewhat worried about Tesla or Nio in terms of Europe, and even more so in terms of China. But, that's just my take on it. Yeah, Bobby Joe, these guys deliver. These guys know how to build things. It's just in their DNA, and they're good at it. So anyway, guys, the stock is Nio. Ticker symbol is NIO, down 7 cents on the day on pretty low volume, considering where it's not really low volume, but it's low considering the recent past has just been sort of on tilt. Shorts is shorting and borrowing into really improving deliveries, improving fundamentals. I don't really get it, but I think they think the Chinese economy is just going to fall apart. So why not just go ahead and short the stock, and the sort of overall macro will go ahead and drag it down for them. But we'll have to see, guys. It's a bold gambit. It's her last pencil. If Peggy Hill's pencil breaks, she will have no more pencils. And Hank was out at the mower convention. Who would have thought? Anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. It's Danny Deals. It's Un Poco Mas, the show where we try to give you just a little bit more. Happy hump day, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Peace. We're out. Thanks, Not a Lurker. Thanks, Alberta Birdie Atlas. You're here. Thanks, Jay Gatsby.